Okay, well, Sue, you bring up a really good point, because one of the things you can do and may be able to do, which we've spoken with our next guest here, Jeffrey Sonn, he's an attorney representing clients of Madoff, is going back to those capital gains taxes that you paid the IRS, because if your capital gains were phantom, then that means you paid for something that never even existed in the first place. So at least maybe you can go over that. Jeffrey, going after some of this legally, what else can these victims of investing fraud do legally?
Well, there's a number of things they can do. Like I said, I'm not a tax lawyer, but I've spoken to accountants. I'm dealing with them on cases like Sue and Dominic's. They've got to get to the CPA right away. They did pay taxes on phantom gains. But I want to go back to what Steve Harbeck said. I've been a securities lawyer for 20 years. I've been through civic proceedings. I represent people like Sue and Dominic. I'm in multiple Ponzi scheme cases right now. What I want to do is I want to challenge the SIPC to do this. Let's look at Sue and Dominic's case. They have no money. They can't pay their bills to where they live, their motorhome. Now, we know that SIPC offers up to $500,000 of protection, and that means $100,000 of cash and up to $400,000 of securities. And Mr. Harbeck has told your listeners that Sue and Dominic's statements are fiction. But since they had the reasonable expectation that they bought securities through SIPC, Mr. Harbeck, can you tell Sue and Dominic tonight that if they got statements from Bernard Madoff's broker-dealer saying they owed 1.6 million securities, that they are eligible to get $500,000, not $100,000 cash, but $500,000. Can you tell them that tonight?
If they are in a securities position, they are eligible for $500,000. However, it's also important to remember that this is a Ponzi scheme. And in a Ponzi scheme, we must know to the maximum extent possible, going back as far as possible, how much money came in and how much money went out.
Where was the SEC in 1999 to tell us this?
Take a look at the papers that are sitting in front of you right now. Sue and Dominic, you have a statement from Bernard Madoff. What's the name of the company on your statement?
Bernard Madoff.
Bernard Madoff Investment Securities, LLC.
Correct.
Right.
And Jeffrey,
that's
that
the name
LLC,
of the broker-dealer,
that
which
LLC
is registered
is
with the Financial Regulatory Authority. That's one of the members. There's 5,000 members of SIPC. They're all broker-dealers. They only pay $150 approximately dues a year to SIPC. Now, SIPC's only got $1 million in the bank, or $1.6 million, I believe, last count. They can draw $1 million from banks and line of credit, and they can draw $1 million from the
I think you want to say billion.
Mr. Harbeck, are you going to ask for the million from the billion from the SEC? Are you going to pay the money that Sue and Dominic lost, because those were securities they expected to be in their account?
Okay, but let me make a big point, and this is not necessarily, this isn't to or for or against anybody, because Sue and Dominic, this is a horrible situation. I think the expectation here is that SIPC acts like the FDIC, where you can get access to your money within 24 hours. Unfortunately, that is definitely not the case. But Stephen, can you give people some idea at all of how long this will take?
The faster they get a claim form back into our hands, the faster we can deal with their situation.
Your claim form, you said in your own words, is not going to be available until January 1st. What are people to do with bills? I called my motorhome loan.
They're starting to pile up already.
I asked them to extend the loan, and they said, you're not creditworthy. You have no income. People can't wait until January 1st.
Carmen, don't you think that since SIPC is definitely going to pay at least $100,000, then maybe SIPC should give every customer of the broker-dealer a $100,000 advance today against their claim form?
Here's the thing. I mean, Stephen, is this a possibility, as this is a situation that no one has ever seen before? As this is a very different situation, the biggest fraud you've ever seen, is there a possibility that things will change in terms of procedure and help and access to that help more quickly come January?
What I can tell you is that I will take back to my board of directors and to the Securities and Exchange Commissions some of the suggestions I've heard here tonight.
These aren't suggestions. These are absolute, adamant things that must be done. Our government, since 1999, approved Mr. Madoff's dealings. Where have they been to protect the people? Who are we going to trust if we can't trust the government?
Sue and Carmen, you need money today, not 6 months from now, right?
Absolutely. We have food in the motorhome. We have bills to pay. That food will run out. I have no access to make my bills
Well, I mean,
payment.
they-
So
I mean,
what's
people need
what's
help
going to happen?
now,
I'm going to
not down
become
the
a
road.
burden
Exactly.
on
Now,
society.
Now, Sue and Dominic, Jeffrey, you have, you say that getting legal representation and all of this would probably help you, but how can people expect to pay for the representation?
Sue and Dominic, let me tell you something. Here's the reality. Most of the victims I represent are just like you. Good, hardworking, decent people that played by the rules, and our government and the Wall Street agencies are supposed to protect you, let you down. People like me, and there's many attorneys out there helping people like you, should be able to help you on a contingency fee. They shouldn't charge you a fee up front.
Will you help us,
Because
Jeff?
this is the kind of work that we do.
Jeff,
so
will
any
you
attorney
help
that does
us?
what I do, you can consult with. I'll meet with you if you can't get help. I'm
Okay.
not going to charge you unless I can help you.
Okay.
And in general, whenever you meet with any attorney, ask them up front, what can you do? How much is it going to cost me? Can you help me with my civic claim?
Will you be able to help Sue and Dominic? Jeffrey, will you be able to help Sue and Dominic?
I believe so. My history, my knowledge is that civic oftentimes denies claims, and it's very tough for people like Sue and Dominic to navigate this mess. This is a bankruptcy court proceeding.
And that's
Mr.
what
Harvick's working with a trustee, and when those claims sometimes get challenged, those people like Sue and Dominic need help.
We can't wait for Mr. Harvick and through these channels. This is an extenuating circumstance, and if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Harvick said that himself today.
You're absolutely right. It
Mr.
is.
Harvick, how long is this going to take for CIPIC to put money in the hands of Sue and Dominic and people like them?
I think if